Come on in the room. Y'all know what time it is. It's time for Therapy Tuesday, Y'all, and welcome. Y'all know what time it is. Love and Faith Restoration Church International. I'm Bishop-elect A.R. Garrison. And y'all, I'm excited about tonight. Oh, it's going to be good. Y'all asked for this. Y'all said, we need part 2. So guess what? By popular demand from the people. And it's Mental Health Month. So y'all, not only do y'all get a part 2, we also got some lovely ladies of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated from the Alpha Phi Zeta chapter going to join us today. So I'm excited. Oh, and I hope you got your pen. Matter of fact, do me a favor. If you don't have your pen, go get your pen and your notebook right now, because I promise you today you're going to get some tools for your toolbox. Okay? So look, do me a favor. If you haven't liked it, like it, share it, send it to somebody, because I promise you, somebody's going to need what we are discussing tonight. So can you do that for me? And matter of fact, let us know where you're chiming in from. Say hey in the chat. Wave your hands. If you're part of that blue and white family, put a blue heart, a white heart, a dove. You know, I mean, y'all already know what time it is. It's only one united Zeta Phi Beta Sigma. I'm just saying, but we ain't going to go there. I ain't going to step on no toes, because we love all of our people. So go ahead, share this right now, and we're going to go ahead and get started. Let me bring my lovely sister to the stage, y'all, because y'all know what we're doing. Y'all know what time it is, so go ahead and get going. Miss Janae, the floor is yours.
All right, good night. I'm happy to be back in one of my favorite places, Therapy Tuesday. And you guys asked for a part 2, so here it is. So if you hear something you heard last week, I'm sure it's just going to bring you closer to the healing that you desire. We're talking about healing is not passive, the myth that time heals everything. And we talked about it last month. Time doesn't heal everything. You can move on and learn to function while broken, or you can actually do the work and live a life that's worth living. So we're coming together today. We are the bridge between the church and the couch. We need Jesus and we need our therapist. So we created this platform as a declaration that we are responsible for our mental health and that we're going to heal in a community setting. I'm going to invite you all to give, to sow into what we're doing here. You can give through Apple Pay or Givelify. There are some other avenues to pay. If you find them online, you can give that way as well. When you give, we're able to do things like afford the platform we're using, bring on new and inspiring things. So whatever you have, if you feel led to give, just sow into what we're doing here. And get you some merch. I got on my hoodie, my Therapy Tuesday hoodie. Join us. We want to make this a movement. Every Tuesday when you get online with your notebook, we want you to have your t-shirt, your hat, your hoodie. Use that QR code there to order something and use discount code LFRCI15 to get 15% off. And I have a few recommendations for success for you. Be present. I know it's hard. You're at home. You might be cooking, trying to get the kids bathed, trying to decompress from your workday, but give yourself 60 minutes just for you to lean into this material so that way you can internalize it and be better than when you got on. Let's have good discussions. Put any thought, opinion, feedback in the chat. We welcome it. We want that. This does not replace psychotherapy or crisis stabilization. If your physician or your doctor has told you to do something, please do that. This is an opportunity to add tools to your toolkit, not replace the treatment that you deserve and that you might be needing right now. And take notes so you don't forget useful information. If you are triggered by anything that's said tonight, it's not our intent, but go take care of yourself. Get some water, take a walk, say maybe not this month, not this topic, and join us again next month. But it's not our intent. And happy Mental Health Awareness Month. This is really weird for me because it is Mental Health awareness every day in my life. I am always advocating and educating about mental health. I don't limit that to 1 month, and I encourage you guys to do that, especially with your own mental health. But nonetheless, because there is stigma, there are people still suffering in silence. There are people that don't know healing is possible. There is a whole month dedicating to ringing the alarm and sounding the bell that mental health matters, and there are people out here that want to help you. So happy Mental Health Awareness Month. This started in 1949. Mental Health America started this movement to destigmatize mental health. And mental health is always stigmatized because it's invisible health, and we don't believe things when we can't see them. And when we don't see them, we think they don't exist, but it exists. All right, so what is my objective tonight? And it's the same as last month. We want to look at the difference between healing and just adapting, identify avoidance patterns disguised as progress, understand the psychological processes that block healing, and we do want to offer you some practical steps. Now, I'm going to invite Pastor A.R. Garrison on because we got some very special guests on tonight who will be chiming in. I am not going to be the only mental health professional tonight answering questions. We have some beautiful Zetas on with us, and I'm going to let Pastor introduce them.
Yeah, so tonight, y'all, we have two lovely ladies. They are both licensed social workers. Miss Letitia, look, and I said I won't go mess with her. Y'all know how I do your mind get to rolling and tongue. Miss Latia, look, and her name not wrong with my mama name. Look, and I'm tearing this slam, y'all get me, because we just went through this. And Miss Sharice, but y'all, they gonna come on and she gonna tell you the name right, because look, the spirit get to moving and I get to jumping and I get too excited because I'm excited about tonight. But tonight we're gonna walk through this thing together with Janae. Y'all, I promise, put your questions in the chat if you got some questions for them, for us. Y'all know how we do. We real, we raw, we transparent. Latia, there we go. I just got it together, y'all. Look, my mind had to look. I had to calm it down. Letha, there we go. See, why you ain't had your brother back a little bit sooner?
I was waiting for the right moment.
I done called 7 different names, but at least you completed it. But now it's good. See, y'all, you got to have fun out here. If you're not having fun, you ain't doing it right. Latia, there we go. Letha, there we go. Look, see, I'm telling you, Letha. Look, y'all, I got it. My grandma be tearing my name up. She called me Maud, already everything. I get everything. So, Letha, you know I love your sister. Don't take it personal to your brother. Charge it to my head and not my heart. But y'all, I'm going to bring these lovely ladies on and let Janae flow, and they're going to flow together tonight. All right?
All right, so the first statement I'm going to make, and listen, Letha or Sharice, if you feel led to chime in, this is just to get your wheel spinning. Everybody who's under the sound of my voice, this is to get your wheel spinning. So I wanted to open with this. Some people are not healed. They are well adapted to pain. So when you hear that, what comes up? Anybody in the chat can respond. Some people are not healed. So there are people out there that you admire, that you are comparing yourself to. You may even have some self-judgments when you look at what you're doing compared to what they're doing. And you think they're killing it. But they are not healed. They are not healthy. They are just very well adapted to pain. What do y'all think? Do y'all see those people? Are y'all those people? And I'll be a peer participant at some point in all of our lives. I think we could be one of those people.
Yes, definitely. I feel so often we are so used to living very mechanically, almost, and I oftentimes think about the phrase "fake it till you make it." You know, people have begun to do this too well, in that as they wake up each morning, they're engaging in the daily hustle and bustle of work, feed the kids, move forward throughout working, they cook, they clean, et cetera, et cetera. And they have gotten so accustomed to simply just existing in contrast to living. So many of us have gotten used to just doing just that, really faking it without being transparent. And that is something that has become very common as we look at Instagram, Facebook, all the things where people are doing so good. Oftentimes we don't really know the stories that are behind these people, the masks that they're wearing, in essence.
Yes, the mask that people are wearing.
I can
Hmm.
chime into that as well. I think as a society, we've been taught to move on, get over it, stay positive, look forward. All those things may be true, but they take time to get there. We can't just put a bandage over something and expect it to heal. Think about what happens when we get a scrape on our finger. We put a bandage over it and we go throughout our day, but it's still moisture under there. It's preventing it from healing. And so I think it's the same thing when we look at a lot of the celebrities and things like that. We do see that they end up in jail, they end up having a lot of problems, and it's because they're trying to find a way to cope, but they're not coping in the right way. So,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I always say like physical sores will heal and auto generate a scab, but emotional wounds are not like that. We're just covering them up, but that, like you said, is still open under that band-aid. It's still fresh and raw. We got to look under that and see what's the core of the issue. So thank you for chiming in. Um, I call that the comfort of dysfunction. We have learned to find comfort in processes and survival practices that are absolutely dysfunctional. And I know some people struggle. Well, what in the world is dysfunctional? Because my mom lived this way, my grandma lived this way. They're normalizing it on social media. When people post about it, they get likes, shares, and followers. So how could this be dysfunctional? And I always say, you know that you are dysfunctional or misaligned when the ends don't justify the means. What are your values? What are your goals? When your behaviors, your thoughts, and your actions don't align with your values and your goals, you are dysfunctional. How can you say you want to be happy and healthy, but the decisions you make are moving you in the opposite direction of that? And unfortunately, because that feels good, we find comfort and moving in the opposite direction of our values. I want you guys to put this in the chat. Put value based actions. Put that in the comment section. Value based actions. That's really where we have to start moving and living in our lives. Not life comfort, but value based actions. And I'm going to pause. I do see things coming in the chat. And if you guys have any input too to what I said, that's great too.
Many times, dysfunctional comfort is so comfortable because when we're used to the dysfunction, we know what to expect. But it's the unknown that can be very scary for people. So, why should I move forward with change? I know what this situation is like. If I try something different, I may not be happy with that either. So, I'm just going to settle for this.
Yeah, our brain likes predictability. We like to know because it's comfortable and safe for us. Yes. And you're right in alignment with where we're headed. The nervous system will choose familiar pain over unfamiliar peace. Wow. So we'd rather go with the pain we know than the peace that we don't know. So we're already kind of set up um to work against our own healing process. So this means we got to be very intentional and we have to have support. Get yourself a therapist, talk to your pastor, put yourself in spaces like this because you're automatically going to avoid anything that's challenging, uncomfortable, and unfamiliar. So you need those things that will tap you on your shoulder and call you out. Any input or thoughts? And that's and as well from the comments. When I say any thoughts, feedback, or input, that's from any direction. So, anybody under the sound of my voice, I want to remind you guys that trauma is not your identity. A lot of times, the identity you think you have is not your core identity, it's not who you really are. It's how you have been raised or adapted to come to know who you are. So, you might be saying something like, I'm just an angry person. I don't need anybody. No new friends. I'm always the strong one. I can't trust people. I work better under pressure. I like to work hard. It's a lot of little survival messages that we will tell ourselves, and we believe that's who we are. We believe that's who we are. If you are broke and broken down and not functioning well, you don't have to be that anymore. That story that you tell about yourself can be changed. It is possible, even if it's so far removed from how you've been raised and what you know. You can learn a new way. That's when they say unlearn and relearn, that's exactly what they're talking about. And sometimes we can't see the forest for the trees. We are so close to our own mess, we don't even know that there's something different outside of that. That's why we're gonna always have jobs, Letha and Sharice, because we get to get a front row seat to people opening up the curtains and letting us see the patterns that they've been living through that they're hiding from everybody else. And we get to facilitate a process whereby they can live a life that's worth living because they're really calling a thing a thing. It's so much going on in chat. Are you, let's see here. When you tell yourself something, oh my, I can't even keep up with the chat. Like I'm reading it and it is just bumping up. So if we're not getting to your comment and you were looking for feedback, forgive us. It's so much happening and I love it. Maybe we'll go back and try to revisit some of the comments. All right, here's a question for anybody in the chat. I am calling you guys to be vulnerable. If you let go of survival mode, who are you without it? Who are you without it? If you let go of strong, if you let go having to always have the answers, if you let go being the family rescuer, if you let go always having to figure it out, if you let go not getting sleep, who will you be? Who will you be? Or who are you without it? Do you know who you are? Have you gotten to know the person who's not doing anything and still valuable? The being person, that's what we call that in therapy. When you're doing nothing, when you have no roles, no titles, no responsibilities, who are you? Someone who doesn't control. You free. I love that. Absolutely. A beautiful soul. Absolutely. Yes. You are somebody. I think it's Mr. Rogers that says you don't have to be doing anything spectacular to be loved. You are awesome just for existing. But so often, especially in marginalized populations, we find our worth in our work because that's the only time we're getting some type of reinforcement, praise, or acknowledgement is when we are producing something and we carry that same adaptive functioning over into all layer areas of our life.
Let me chime in. Come on, let's get in there. You know, y'all been talking good. Let me get up here. So, I would say one thing that I've learned about survival mode, releasing that also releases a mental weight. You know, because sometimes you get to go and you're trying to do all of these things, and as a leader, you got leading your house, leading your family, leading the congregation, leading the people, leading a business, and all these things. And sometimes you got to just say, you know, I'm gonna release it because we can't control everything. And so sometimes we try to control so much and then we end up with nothing and nothing's accomplished, nothing's fulfilled. And then we're like, God help me out. And God, like, why you ain't taking a break in the first place? You know, and so many times we're wanting God to get us out of situations that we put ourselves in to survive. You know, we always quote the scripture, God won't put more on me than I can bear, but how much did I put on me that I wasn't supposed to bear? And that is one of the biggest problems that I have noticed with, especially men sometimes, right? You got to be the provider, you got to be the source, you got to be this. And when do you just put it down? When do you effectively communicate with your partner or your family that, hey, I got a lot on me? You know, so many times people, they carry all these bags and nobody knows how many bags they have on their bike.
I think that's
Well,
a good point. If I could chime in,
mhm.
I hear a lot of people talking about the emotional baggage that they carry, but when they go to their families to tell them, look, this is too much for me, they beat them down because they say they're not strong. No, communicating that something is too much for you is a strength because so many people kind of hold it and expect to be the strong woman or the strong man. That's not very healthy. And I think a lot of times that's just culturally, that's what we're taught to do is we're not supposed to complain. We're supposed to take our bags and carry them. And I think a lot of people are in that I've worked with are in like a trauma based, they're always in survival mode. So when you're in survival mode, you don't have a chance to take a deep breath and not worry about anything because they don't leave the door open for you to do that. And I think it's very sad. And I always encourage people to speak their truths. And if people don't accept it and they go and talk about you, that's a them problem. That's not a you problem. But no matter if they accept it or not, make sure that you tell people that you need help because they don't know unless you say it.
Absolutely. I think my first lady said, one of the first lessons she had in church is being delivered from people. And I know it's
Mm,
easier to say that here than to live that out, but one way that makes it easier to be delivered from people is to get very clear about who you are. When you get clear about your values, what you need to be healthy, it's easier to have those boundaries with people and not really look for reassurance. In acceptance and commitment therapy, they teach that our minds are like reason giving machines. We will always find a reason of why we can't. And that's for
mhm,
ourselves and
mhm,
other people. Sometimes we project our survival standards onto other people. So, guess what people are doing to you? When you have made up your mind that you're going to heal, you're going to stop hanging out in these places, stop doing this thing, cut this person off, get more sleep, not hang out, not drink, not do this. Other people's survival messages will be projected upon you. You can't do that. Why are you doing it? So if you got to deal with your own stuff, you definitely got to come up with a system where you repel other people's stuff on you. Who are they to determine what you can and cannot do? If you've made up your mind to heal, it is definitely a very lonely and personal process. We cannot get caught up in what other people think about what we're trying to do to heal.
As we think about healing and change, I would ask, clinicians, what can we do in order to support those where this behavior is inherited? They've always
Mhm.
seen great grandma bearing the burden of taking care of everyone. Now it's with mom. Now it's with them. They're passing it down. These generational curses in reality of dysfunction. So for those where that resonates for them, what can they do in order to kind of break free and move forward with positive change without, I guess, separating from their families because
Mm.
that's their support network.
Hmm. I believe people can walk a middle path between honoring themselves and honoring their families. I think that's it. I always talk about the middle path. Find the middle path. Like you don't have to be all or nothing. You don't have to be all for your family and how they want you to function. You don't have to be just completely self-serving and self-gratifying and say, forget my family and then lose your support system. But find a middle ground. And to answer your question, I guess more directly, I do believe at the heart or at the foundation of healing is recognition or awareness or mindfulness. Do you see these survival patterns that you didn't choose, that were kind of you inherited them? So do you recognize that you don't have to have them? They were given to you, and that now you're at a crossroads where you can put it down, you can polish it, you can repackage it, you can rebrand it, but you have all power right now to make it look however you want it to look. So really working on being honest about what you see, and then also taking a look, because sometimes we don't want to take a look at our lives and ourselves.
I would say boundaries. I think boundaries is the hardest thing that I struggle sometimes with. Not me struggle, but the client struggle with. It's like, but it's my mom. I'm gonna give her my last $100. Yeah, but your
Hmm.
light
Mm,
bill is due. Your light bill
Yeah,
is due. Did you tell your mom that your light bill was due? Because if you give it to mom, then that's gonna leave you depleted. And I think the more we give, the more depleted we feel. So if we don't set those boundaries, we're gonna always be in that place of we're trying to survive.
absolutely. If you want something different, you gotta do something different. If you keep giving your
exactly.
family all your money, you're not gonna have no money. And then from a clinical standpoint, I really like to get in the weeds of what is the payoff, the emotional payoff of functioning that way. Like,
Mm,
what do you get out of continuing to give when you don't have to give? Because that's the place where the healing needs to begin. Like, Do you feel like you're buying love from your mom? Maybe there's a part of you that feels like mom didn't love you as much as the other siblings. Do you feel like it is your moral responsibility? Maybe you've been programmed to do that. And really sit with that. And also, how do you feel when you're doing it? Because a lot of times, again, survival mode is about feeling good. If every time I pay a bill, I get a burst of dopamine, and my everything else around me is on fire and burning up and not doing well, anything that makes me feel good, I'm inclined to engage with because it makes me feel like somebody. It makes me feel important. And again, that's survival versus thriving. Only functioning to feel better, but not functioning to be transformed. And that's where a lot of people are stuck. They're stuck in the cycle of just wanting to feel better. All right, thank y'all. I love this. And again, the comments are on fire. And I am sorry that we just can't keep up with y'all, but y'all keep talking to each other and just know that we know that you guys are there. Um, and now there's something I like to call a survival resume. We all have one. This is a great tool to use with clients, to use with yourself. And the type of therapy that I use, I believe that the clinician and the client are equal. We're on the same page because nobody is perfect and without a need to heal. Even I need a therapist. The therapist needs therapists, physicians need therapists. We all need to have some stuff that we need to deal with. So do this with yourself, do this with clients if you're a professional, but ask your client or yourself to create a survival resume. These are all of the things that you've learned because of your experiences, and these things that you learned have helped you get to where you are now. And we're not going to talk about survival mode like it's all dirty and bad. Listen, some of us wouldn't be where we are right now if it wasn't for survival mode. Survival mode and got the bills paid. Survival mode and got kids through college. Survival mode and got car payments paid. Survival mode really be doing it. That's why we can't let it go. It really gets the job done, but at what cost to our health, our physical health, and our mental health? So create a survival resume. What survival skills help you live that are now hurting your ability to live well? That's it. What are the skills that have helped you live? But now that you see, now that you're doing the work to be better, they're now hurting your ability to live well. What are those things? And if you're struggling, I have a little chart here to help you. Let me help you. Somebody said, Janae, please help me. I'm struggling. I don't want to be honest right now, or it's hard to say the truth because it feels too bad. I'll help you out, and I don't have very many. But before I get in the weeds of it, if you consider yourself pretty independent and you've been pretty proud of it, put a one in the comment. I'm independent. I don't need anybody. Look, I'll put a one in the comment for me. I can make the ends meet. I got my own back because if I got my back, then nobody won't fail me. Put a one if you're independent. Well, let me tell you what might be under the weeds of that. Um, it looks like strength, but really, there's a fear of relying on people. So you are living with a mistrust of people. So on one hand, you feel like you're killing it, you got your own back. But I wonder how that shows up in relationships. Are you able to have deep connections with people? Maybe you're listening to me and like, man, it's hard to have friendships. I can't really go deep when it comes to romantic relationships because you're too busy being independent. It's hard to trust people when you're relying only on yourself for everything, and you have already told yourself that people are going to fail you. People you haven't even given a chance, people you haven't even met yet. Any thoughts or impact from my clinical sisters, Letha and Sharice?
Yes, what I'll say in working with one of my specialties and certifications is in working with couples, and in many times, as couples battle their difficulties, this is something that they talked about. Is there is usually someone, well, there's trust issues, but usually someone who is having difficulties really allowing themselves to be vulnerable enough to trust their partner or trust someone else. And the theory behind that is, how can I trust someone if I just do it myself, or if I just take care of it myself, then I know it'll get done and it'll get done the way that I want. So, how am I going to ask someone, or how am I going to allow myself to be vulnerable? Because history has shown that I've done this before, and here we are with these difficulties. So just really individuals having a hard time with vulnerability. And again, thinking about change. If I know how things are going to go, if I do them myself, then why would I depend on someone else? Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And somebody said it. You said the buzzword vulnerability. How do I be vulnerable? How I call that being emotionally naked. How can I be emotionally naked? How can I show what I'm feeling without shame, without guilt, or what people are seeing? Um, and that takes some time. It takes some practice. It takes some bravery, a level of bravery. And bravery is just being able to do something while you're uncomfortable, while you're afraid. Thank you for chiming in. Yes, couples work is really good when it comes to trust and attachment styles and really learning to let your guard down and things like that. Look, vulnerability is a whole nother talk and session for a whole nother day. Strong. If you wear the strong label, put a one in the chat. Strong. Strong could potentially be a sign of emotional shutdown. Mm. Yeah, you got to be strong because you don't want to show the other stuff. You have literally, if you imagine that all the other emotions like sadness and fear, imagine that there was a locked door representing each one of those. It's locked. It ain't opening. You're not expressing nothing. You're not letting nothing in. You're not letting nothing out. You are imploding. You are strong, but it shows up and it manifests in other ways. And clinically, I've seen it manifest in things like F&D disorder or a somatic disorder where you have medical symptoms but no underlying reason for it, like headaches and stomach aches. Could be hypertension, um, migraines, high cortisol levels, you name it. Help me out. Anything else I'm missing?
I would like to add something about I've heard a lot of people say I don't do people, or I don't mess with women, or I don't mess with men, I'm a loner. That tells me a lot. And with my work with people, I use a little bit of transsexual analysis, and we do life scripts. Anything that you've been taught that's unhealthy, you can unlearn it. And you can
Mm-hmm.
reteach yourself healthy patterns. We can't live in a world by ourselves. We need other people to help us. So that right there, when people tell me that, I hear trauma. I hear
Mm-hmm.
something has happened to you that you don't trust people. Everybody is not bad.
Yeah.
A lot of work to be done there.
Absolutely. Red flags for those type of statements. So if you are finding yourself saying things like that, I don't need people, I got this, all I need is myself, that is a sign of an internal wound that probably needs to be looked at and examined so you can heal. Um, if you're someone who likes to keep busy, mm, put a one in a comment. If this is you, your survival skill of busy. You listen, you can do four things at one time. Your to-do list has a to-do list and you get the job done. You are locked in to what you have to do.
Now,
And some
hold on. Before you
mm-hmm,
keep going, I got to be. You talking about that strong. So I think
mm-hmm,
for a good bit of men, that strong is that thing. And then when you said that, your body will, certain things will happen, headaches, migraines, inflammation, and there's no medical reason for that. I wonder how many people have taken the time to think of them being strong because of the weight or the pressure that you have put on yourself mentally has now produced a headache or inflammation in the body. And so what we take in our mind now becomes an effect in our body, and we don't realize how the two they collide together naturally and spiritually because of the things that we're thinking that we're not even voicing or saying, and you're wondering why you have this fatigue or exhaustion because of the weight of what you're carrying internally. Can you just get on that just a tad bit? One of you great ladies.
can you ask me another question so I can answer
Okay,
the question?
sure. So, um,
Mhm.
look, I know I said a lot. So, with people saying that I am strong, how can they identify that them taking on this strength is not a strength, but it's more of a deficiency when it comes to their body having responses in the form of a headache, inflammation? How can they identify that when they say, "Oh, I'm just being strong. I'm just carrying the weight. I'm just doing the work. I'm carrying the load, but they don't articulate that or decipher that, hey, it's because you're being strong that you got a headache, not just because it's hot outside or because you've done certain things today, that we will say, oh, it's because of this. And I can be the first to admit, that is probably me. I'm so strong. I'm carrying this. I'm doing this. And then I'm wondering why my head hurt. And I'm thinking it's because I eat too many sandwiches or something. My Dr. Tiff told me I got to leave them processed meats alone. I told her the other day, I said, no, I get cut fresh. But she said, no, it's still bad for you. But maybe that strength, because that just made me think, I wonder, is that why I get headaches? Because we carry so much. And so I would love if either one of you can dive into that briefly.
As
Okay,
I
I
work
guess
with
we can.
individuals, oh, excellent, thank you. As I work with individuals, I always start off doing an intense assessment on them. And as they begin to open up and discuss how strong they are and the different things that they do, ask them to start making a list. Make a list of what are the things that you do. What does an average day look like for you? How much do you eat? How much sleep are you getting? Um, how is your physical health? What does that look like? Because oftentimes there are red flags that the individuals will note, but they won't have began to put together the relationship regarding why they may be having this stomach. Oh, I just thought I was hungry. That's why my stomach was hurting, or I had a rough day at work, so that's why I'm having these migraines. But it could be, well, you're taking care of your mom, your dad, working two jobs, et cetera, not really putting a limit on what they're doing because they're so used to doing all the things. That weight is heavy.
Thank you, Sharice. I appreciate that. Janae, did you want to add something to it?
Yeah, but I want to see if Miss Letha wanted to respond
Okay.
first.
I just wanted to add that sometimes we miss a lot of signals with our bodies.
Mm.
And I think when you pick up being busy, you ignore those signs because you're not aware. You're thinking, oh, because I'm tired, but it's because you really do maybe need to take a mental health day from work. You may need to stay home and get some rest, get some sleep. Let your grandparents go to respite. There are a lot of resources out there that can help. But I hear a lot of people say that they feel guilty when they're not helping. And I think that comes at the expense of our health overall, because if we keep having those headaches, right? We keep having these tummy aches. Things that were dormant in the body, they start to activate, whether it be cancer, some of the other diseases that are out there. I think stress really, really brings those on. And I think that sometimes we do need to slow down to be one with our bodies and understand. I can tell when I'm getting really stressed. I can tell because I guess I'm therapist and everything like that, and I go to the doctor on a regular basis, so I know when something's not right, and I know when I'm pushing myself too far. But I think that we are tasked to kind of help our clients identify those things too, as well, in our bodies, in their bodies.
I appreciate about this discussion. I like that when we answer the question, we all have different styles, so people can see that there's more than one way to skin a cat. Like there are different perspectives, and you got to figure out what works for you. But to answer the question and circle back to that comment, really you got to look at your results. What are the results that you're producing? Like if you are unhealthy and ignoring it, and sometimes we'll ignore the facts of what we're dealing with, but if you are having headaches, if you're not sleeping at night, we call that negative symptoms. When you can't do things, not sleeping, not eating, that's usually a sign of not functioning, which usually is a sign of disorder. You might be clinically something and you are ignoring it because you're too busy focused on being strong because that's all you know. But finding the time to be real with yourself, and I mean authentically, genuinely honest with you. I am not okay. It's not okay to not be able to sleep. It's not okay to be extremely overweight. It's not okay. It's not okay. And really doing the work to find the support system to get to what's happening. A new perspective that I've been looking into is really understanding your capacity. A lot of times we don't even recognize that our nervous system has a capacity, like, and it changes from event to event from time to time, and we really can't always control it, especially women with our hormones and all the things that we go through. You really have to check in with yourself frequently. Where am I today? How much can I hold today? How much can I take on? There are a lot of times where we have zero capacity and we continue to pile more things on and on and on, when we really should be in a restoration phase and not a grinding phase. We continue to grind when we should be restoring, and we wonder why we're unwell. I mean, when people come sit on my couch, I can always figure out why. Wow, there's no rest here. There's no work life balance. There's no giving yourself permission to say no. There's no boundary anywhere, because your identity is wrapped in showing up and doing everything, over functioning, overcompensating, and overcommitting to everything that is attached to you. You have like 10,000 browsers open and wonder, and then call yourself a failure. You're not failing. You got too much going on. You don't have ADHD sometimes. Sometimes you just have too much going on. Anybody would have ADHD symptoms if they were doing as much as some of us are doing. Um, Another thing, remember your purpose has limits. Your purpose is not limitless. Your purpose has limits, and you are the expert on when the purpose stops, when enough is enough. So check in with yourself and then be honest and look at the results that you're producing. All right. And that busy is a sign of avoiding feelings. I saw that from Kimberly Barnes in the comment. Yes. What's actually what you're actually doing is avoiding your feelings. And we avoid feelings because they're overwhelming and we don't understand them. So that's very common. Um, Being funny. I don't know if you met people that's always telling a joke, always laughing at stuff, and you like, ain't nothing funny. Nothing is funny here. But oftentimes that's a way to deal with the pain that they're dealing with. It's a deflecting pain, trying not to really feel and deal with reality. Um, and then being productive. Very similar to busy. However, I think productivity is really built on the results, being very outcome driven. You want to win. Perfectionism lives there. A lot of times what's really happening is anxiety driven functioning. That's what's happening. So you're not independent, strong, busy, funny, productive just because. There is an emotional payoff to that. There's an emotional currency happening. It's transactional. You're getting something out of being that way, and that's something that you're getting out of it. It makes you feel safer, but it is not making you healed. It is not making you well. Someone put, so how does one stop being strong when that is all they know? Um, you have to pay attention. First, see. And you said, how does, I'm assuming you're talking about yourself. I'm not sure. You know you're strong and it hasn't been helpful. What are my other options? What are the baby steps? How can I be more intentional about showing up less strong? What happens when I show up less strong? What happens when I let stuff fall? I actually did that in my own life. I stopped doing stuff, stop having meetings, stop seeing so many clients. What happens to me on the inside when I let things go? There's a skill called the opposite action. It says, do the opposite of what you always do, and you'll get the opposite results of what you always get. So if I'm always strong and carrying things and now I'm overwhelmed and burnt out, opposite action says, don't carry things, do less, say no, and see what happens. And if I'm honest, there's a lot of peace there. A lot of peace when we do the opposite action of just carrying everything. Now the question is how can I survive the feeling that I get when I let things fall? Because when I did that, I felt so guilty. That, let me tell you, the feeling of guilt will keep you showing up strong every time. I felt so guilty, but if eventually guilt does go away and peace replaces guilt, when you realize, wow, I can survive when I don't do things like that. It's really an illusion that you're not going to make it, or it's emotionally overwhelming. It's just a rough patch. And in those moments, I always recommend using distress tolerance skills. We call that survive the moment skills, aka coping skills. So when you have to do something that's a little distressful, but it's moving you closer to wellness, do things that help calm your nervous system while you're in that process. Aromatherapy, stretching, yoga, prayer, meditation, listening to gospel music, getting some sun, going for a walk, distract yourself through prayer or whatever you need to do. Start reading a book. But as you begin to expose, it's really an exposure protocol. As you begin to expose yourself to the opposite, when it gets overwhelming, then you need more tools to help you tolerate the distress of not doing what you always do. I hope that was helpful, Miss 74 Brown. I don't know the name for Miss 74 Brown. And I'm going to open the floor for Letha or Sharice to share anything they want to answer that question. How does one stop being strong when that is all they know?
I would like to say that being strong is not always a bad thing, long as it's balanced. There's balance. You have to have balance with whatever you do. I would just recommend writing down some of the things that cause you stress. Go through those things. See if there's some things on that list that somebody else can help you with. I'm a big advocate for having people to help. And if you don't ask, you don't know. And most of the time people want to help. But if you stay quiet and you keep it to yourself, you'll always have this burden on you of being strong and feeling like nobody's there to help. So I just recommend doing that.
I agree, and I like that, Letha, because I think about false
We can't hear you,
expectations.
Cherise.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Mhm.
Okay.
I can hear
I
you.
think about, okay, great. I think about false expectation, right? Oftentimes we put these things on ourselves. People don't always have the expectations of us, but we are our biggest enemy because we're putting the weight on ourselves. If we ask for help, people are waiting for us to ask for help. They're waiting for us to say, hey, can you do this or can you do that? Or, you know, we have been so conditioned to do things the same way because change is hard, right? That when we think about trying something different, oftentimes it's not the other person, but it's us. It's how we think we would feel if we didn't do what we feel others expect of us when in actuality they probably don't care. They're waiting for us to ask for help or to give them the opportunity to do something because they see us struggling. They see us struggling. Hmm.
Mhm. Somebody asked a really good question, and it kind of layers on top of that question. Has how do you? It's 007 Mama for. She said, "How do you explain to others that you're going to stop being strong, especially when that's all they know you to be?"
You show them. You show them with your actions because your people, your friends, your family, they know you just as good as you. For example, if your family comes to you and say, "Hey, well, can I borrow $50? I know you got it. You just got paid yesterday. Can you take care of this for me?" They come to you because they always know that this is the expectation that they can depend on you. But if you set the standard with your actions in contrast to your words, because you could easily be talked out of or into doing something, I think that is really the foundation. And consistency, letting your yes be yes, your no be no, and being very firm about, Ms. Letha, you said it earlier, boundaries.
I love that. I hope you guys are taking notes. Consistency, be firm. Let your yes be yes, your no be no. There's some really good nuggets to put in your toolkit for how to deal with other people who are used to you being a certain way and now you're trying to change. Um, I would piggyback on that and just say, remember that boundaries are not for other people. They're for you. That would be equivalent to the bank giving us the passcodes to the door and the computer systems. The bank does not want the public having access to that because it's precious. It's priceless. It's valuable, and things that are valuable to you, your mental health, your desires, your wants, your needs, those are things that you have to protect. So I often say when we make public service announcements about our boundaries, expecting that other people are going to adhere to them, it's no longer a boundary, it's now a bargain. You're bargaining with other people, and it needs to remain a boundary. It is yours, it's sacred. It's the fence around your home that keeps you safe. So you don't have to announce them. I love what you said, Sharice. You said, just Show them with your actions. Put that on your toolkit. Show them. This is a perfect boundaries is the perfect area to show them better than you can tell them. No more telling them. If let me tell you, if telling people about our boundaries was all we needed to do, we would never have to talk about boundaries in therapy at all. We wouldn't even be having this conversation. It just doesn't work that way. We have to enforce them. It's something to be enforced. Kind of like military, it's tactical. We just got to carry out our orders. The military does not announce their orders and what they're doing because it's operational, it's important, and it's valuable. Show them. I love that. Thank you guys. And this conversation leads right into where I'm headed. Healing will cost you your old identity. It will cost you that. People are going to celebrate your healing until boundaries disappoint them. Until where you're headed requires accountability from you where they don't benefit from it anymore. They can't take advantage of you anymore because you now have to be accountable to yourself. Healing changes the relationship dynamic. Again, you're not resourceful or useful to them. Why are you healing? I want you to be well, but I don't want you to be well and take that benefit from me. Um, Peace becomes unfamiliar. It's like if I gotta cut this person off and they're upset with me for me to get peace, I'll stick to my chaos. Bring chaos back because chaos is familiar. I like it. It's comfortable, and I have more friends when I'm in the middle of chaos. But you have to get to a point where you want to be well, not just feel well. And that bravery word. And I'm gonna ask you two to chime in. Is there any other advice that you would give when you find yourself right at the crossroads of having to choose the unfamiliar peace over the so familiar chaos?
I would say it's very hard sometimes when you're making changes. You will lose people because they expect you to stay in that same state that you're in. And so when you do make those changes, they're gonna make comments, oh, you trying to act like you're better or you forgot where you came from. That's not true. But as we start to evolve, we have to make some changes and everybody's not gonna be okay with that. And we have to be okay with finding new people that want to see us happy, whole, and healed.
And as you were talking, what came up for me is we got to stop performing for acceptance. Your people will accept you in your natural state with your natural gifts, how you naturally show up. People who need you to be a certain way in order to be around, those are not your people. And that means every time you're around them, you got to wear a mask. Every time you're around them, you got to be in survival mode. I know you guys have felt that. Maybe it's people you told yourself, I can't be with them. We're not aligned anymore. And you force it and you go in their presence and you find yourself having to be the old version of you to save face and to get along and to fit in and to feel at home. Um, Eventually, as you begin to emotionally mature, you stop wanting to do that. It just doesn't feel, it's not worth how it makes you feel. It's not worth it anymore. All right, so we are just at about an hour, and now normally, I was going to pick up where picked up from last week, but I'm not going to do that because we're having some really good discussions. What I'd like to do is really just open the floor for questions, and what we will do is we will just take turns answering the questions. Maybe, and it could be along the lines of healing. Maybe it could be along the lines of anything mental health related. It is Mental Health Awareness Month. Maybe it's something that you need answers to, and it has nothing to do with our topic. But I want to invite you all to put it in the chat, and I also will invite Pastor Eric Garrison on to give you the number if you want to text it anonymously.
Oh, I think y'all doing very well. Y'all do not need me. I'm just in the background enjoying.
Oh, but we need you to do the anonymous text for us.
Yes, ma'am. Well, as they come in, I will give them. And I haven't seen any questions in the chat as of yet.
All right. So I am then going to just share a few tools with you guys, very easy ones. All right, so some practical application because I love practicality. I don't like when things are so overcomplicated that we can't get it, but maybe you're in a pattern of avoidance. Maybe it's something that, oh, there's a question. What are some practical steps when you're trying to heal and be in a relationship? Oh, I think I need more context. So I'm assuming that you're trying to be better in the relationship makes it hard to be better and heal in the way you want to heal. How honest are you with your partner? Okay. Anybody want to take that one?
I love a good relationship. So, what I'll say is, I think that as anyone considers getting into a relationship, you're already in the relationship, but it's important to be very transparent with your partner. But I encourage everyone to consider talking to a therapist to kind of process any, a therapist or your pastor to process any difficulties that you may have had, because we all have emotional baggage, right? But what matters from person to person is how we deal with that emotional baggage. In a relationship, you should be assessing not only what's going on with you, but your partner, because you guys want to be healthy together. And if you all do not know about who you are as an individual, family history, background, etc., then it may be difficult for you guys to be successful. So that's my recommendation.
And
Thank you.
Reese, I want to jump on your back on that. I think honesty and transparency in a relationship is key. How, the Bible says, how can two walk together unless they agree? So how can I know what your trauma, your triggers are unless you tell me? So we're already starting out of agreement, and so we're already bringing chaos in because I don't know. And so now you're triggered. And here's the thing we have to understand about triggers. You can be healed and still get triggered, because a trigger is just something that your body, your emotions is responding to. So now your partner knows how to handle your triggers, because what happens when a trigger is pulled, something is shot. So either our emotions are shot or there's words that are being shot because of something that is happening internally. So we have to articulate with our partner or even our family or our children, hey, this is a trigger for me. So now people can try to adjust because they love you. But it's our responsibility to identify what those triggers are, because they don't know. And so sometimes, when I have counseled people in the past, they say, well, we don't like to talk about our past. That's the biggest mistake you can do, because how can you reconstruct a relationship, a new relationship, not knowing anything about the past or not knowing what things to build off of or to change with communication? So that's my little 2 cents.
I totally agree with you. I've heard people say before, oh, you don't want to tell them anything about your past, they're going to use it against you. Guess what? If you share that and they use it against you, that person's not for you.
That's not your person. That's what
That's
I'm.
not your person. And it's a big red flag.
Yeah.
Definitely. And so you got to just know what you're going to accept and what you're not going to accept.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's key, Letha. Look, I got it right. Praise the Lord. Letha, I done got it right. That is when we are so afraid of giving our truth and people walking away, we're already setting them up to walk away. Because now you're not giving all of the information that's needed. It's just like if I say, hey, can you go grab the trash from outside, but I don't tell you it's a dog there, you got a fear of dogs. It's like, hey, let me let you know at least, hey, the trash can is by a cage of dogs. So, hey, don't be alarmed when you go out there. And I think that's what happens in relationships. Wow, this is good. We don't tell people the alarms that's in us, right? And so then when things start happening, we want people to figure out or understand that this is me. Well, you didn't tell me. How am I supposed to respond to something that the only person known was you?
And I want to be the devil's advocate a little bit. I'm sorry, did I cut you off?
Oh no, no, no! Look, I seen that smile, so I knew you was about to come for somebody.
And because oftentimes we don't know the areas where we're broken. We're blind to them ourselves. So how can I tell you when I don't know myself? And I think um really relationships are a process just like healing is. You're going through a process, and sometimes in that process you discover you guys are not compatible. I have seen people who at one before being healed, they were compatible, but once they came into healing, it did not work. And that's a part of the process you got to be willing to walk away from. I said a part of healing is sometimes abandoning the identity you always knew, and that might be leaving relationships that you wanted before you knew who you really were at your core. People are can be aligned when you're broken and broken down, but when you start healing and seeing things and saying no and setting boundaries, sometimes they can't go where you're going. I know you guys hear that cliche statement, you can't take people with you as you begin to mature and grow, and that is very very true. I also say heal while you build. You know, if you're in a relationship, sometimes you both can be healing and building at the same time. That is going to happen. And some relationships make it through that and some don't, and there is no formula. It just really depends. But I do echo what everybody has said: be absolutely honest about what you do know, and then as soon as you learn new information, be transparent. So honesty and transparency. That's good, thank y'all. Somebody said y'all going deep.
Everybody,
Yes.
everybody wants a healthy relationship now. That's our culture. How do you get healthy? How do you get a strong relationship? How do you get a strong relationship with a broken foundation? Right? Because most of us came from broken foundations, broken parents, different things, and so now you're trying to build on something that you never seen perfected or exemplified before you. It's like how do I not yell when I'm upset when that's all I seen, or in the past it got the response that I wanted, but then it broke somebody else. And so now it's really understanding what's within and how we dissect ourselves mentally, emotionally, and spiritually to be able to give to our partner. So
Mhm. Yes, this is very complex, but I always say recovery is possible. Like, if you're doing your work, your partner is doing your work, healthy relationships are possible. Healing while you're building is possible. It is all possible if everybody's doing their work. But no one's doing their work when everybody's in survival mode. You're showing up in your relationships with fear, um, mistrust, already believing you're gonna end up by yourself. So that kind of like that self-fulfilling prophecy of it ain't gonna work anyway. So you sometimes we self-sabotage relationships. You have a lot of that happening. And if you recognize some of those patterns within yourself, go find you a therapist so you can deal with that. So you can learn to have deep, meaningful connections with people before you start pushing them away. Yes, and I was going to share a practical tool before you guys ask that question, um, and I'm still gonna share it. But if you find yourself in an avoidance pattern, for example, an avoidance statement might be something like, "I don't talk about it because I'm over it," and that could be anything. Maybe a childhood trauma of any sort, something that happened to you at work. I don't talk about it. I'm over it. So you're burying it. You're suppressing it. That's what we're going to call it. So an active healing process. That's when you get in your body and you begin to navigate it just like a captain is in a ship. You take yourself where you need to go so you can get better. First, you got to name the experience. A lot of times we are abused, we are mishandled, and we don't call it what it is, and we are broken. And we'll continue to just avoid it and not name it. First thing I want you to do is name it. Somebody put name it in the comments. We have to name the things that are happening to us. Um, And then the second thing we need to do is identify the emotional impact. Now, we first of all we need to understand where our emotions and our feelings come from. They come from our bodies. You wouldn't know you felt the way you felt if your body didn't tell you. So we really need to establish a relationship with ourselves to really understand the emotional impact. We need to name it. We need to understand why that emotion is visiting us. What is it trying to teach us or tell us? Are we do we need to do something? Do we not need to do something? I'm going to tell you right now, feelings like disgust, inadequacy, worthlessness, when those big, heavy emotions come to visit us, they trying to tell you something. They're not telling you to keep functioning the way you always been functioning. They usually come to tell you to make a big adjustment. And it's really important that you identify the emotional impact of your experiences so you know how you need to move next. And then you need to process your emotions in a safe place. Kind of what I was just talking about. If someone was sitting on my couch, I would literally ask them if the feeling of disgust knocked at your door, what information is it bringing? What is it trying to tell you? Is it telling you to do something or not to do something? And if so, what is it? What is that emotion telling you? You need to find a place where you can sit and identify and process your feelings. Survival mode doesn't give us the luxury of time to process, but healing mode creates space and time for you to deal with that. We need to deal with our feelings. Our feelings have a lot of information, and we cannot continue to suppress, deny, and ignore them. And then the very last thing is practice new responses in real situations. So, whenever the universe gives you an opportunity to choose how you respond when you have the same old trigger, um, then you have to be responsive to that opportunity and respond differently. And then you have to keep practicing it because the brain has neuroplasticity. Anything that you practice over and over and over, you're a master. You can't just practice a new response once and be like, I'm good. Janae, I did it one time. I'm amazing. I'm healed. No, we're going to be healing for the rest of our lives. I'm so sorry. There's no utopia to healing. There's like, once you get to a destination, it's not over. We will be working at being better humans for the rest of our lives. So learn to practice new responses. And this can apply to all areas. And I'll repeat that process. Name the experience, identify the emotional impact, process your feelings in a safe space. Keyword being safe. Your sister circle may not be safe. If they're repeating things you're sharing, if they're using those things to beat you up with, that's not safe. And then learn to practice new responses. And I'm going to open up the floor for the other clinicians on to add anything on top of that.
I like the concept when you mentioned the safe spaces. A lot of people don't have safe spaces. So I wanted to encourage them to find people that are willing to listen to them, to not manipulate them. Because sometimes they find that you're vulnerable and they want to take advantage of you. So find people who are in your tribe, as you mentioned earlier, that can be willing to help you and listen to you. Find somebody to pray. I have a spiritual mother that I call, and she prays with me. And when I get off that call, I feel a little stronger. So find those people who are willing to pray with you rather than listen to gossip, rather to than listen to you beat yourself up. So I just challenge you to find that, whether it's your pastor or someone else in the church or acquaintance of
Mhm.
yours.
I like the term practicality, just really making things simple so that you can really come up with a plan for yourself. You don't have to have anything fancy, simply writing down a to-do list, or if you're having difficulties, writing down your problems and taking them one step at a time without making things too burdensome.
Love that. Healing doesn't have to be complicated. That's what I hear you saying. I love that. Yes. And I'll just add, I would say don't go to Lowe's for makeup. A lot of times we will go to family members and our closest networks for support, but they don't have what we need. They are not clinicians. They cannot help you process your trauma. They don't have the basic understanding of how to validate you. And invalidation is the number one cause to mental unwellness. A lot of times we can't get well because we're around invalidating people and we're in invalidating environments. Find the places that invigorate you, that make you feel alive, that make you feel human, that remind you of who you are, that build you up, that tell you how great you are when you're doing nothing. Those are your people and those are your places, and you need to spend more time around those people and in those places and spaces. So I will close out on that note. And if you all have any additional input, or if there are any more questions, I will hang around a little bit.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for being here and doing this work with me. And oh, share how they can reach you, what insurances you take. Like, these are clinicians and what states you serve.
Right now, I'm not doing any direct practice. I'm mainly helping supervisees get their license and just doing my thing at work. I've come out of the field with doing a lot of therapy. I've been doing this for a long time. My nephew will be 18 in June, and I've been in mental health for 18 years.
Okay. Are you doing any coaching?
No, no coaching.
Okay.
No.
All right, Miss Cherise. We can't hear you again. Try one more time. Or you could type it in the chat how they can reach you. Oh, there you go.
Great, great. Okay. So I have a small private practice. You can reach me at positivechangeawaitsllc.com. I do individual, group, marriage counseling, all sorts of therapy, with the exception of working with the children, as I don't work with children, but any adult difficulties, yes, feel free to check out my website. I also have a book called It's Not You, It's Me, Growing Through Emotional Baggage, that you're welcome to check out as well. Thank you for having us. We really appreciate you all for allowing us to come and talk about mental health this day. It's been awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And thank you, Miss Sharice. But you were kind of choppy, so what I want to do, if you can text me or the liaison so I can put that in the chat, because I want people to get your information. I don't want people to miss that. So if you can send that to Sister Deidre real quick so I can put that in the chat for your information,
Okay.
because it's choppy. And I want everybody to make sure they get
Okay.
your book, your information. Now you're clear. Go ahead. Can you repeat it for us?
Okay, sure, sure. I said folks
Yeah,
can check
that's
me
good.
out
You
at
sound
Positive
great now.
Change
Go ahead.
Awaits LLC. Okay, great. Positive Change Awaits LLC.com. I also have a book called It's Not You, It's Me, Growing Through Emotional Baggage, if anyone wants to check that out. I work with adults, providing individual, group, and marriage counseling and therapy. So, yes, check out the website.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. Did y'all get that in the virtual land out there? Because y'all already know we need Jesus in our therapists, and there is not enough therapists that you can get. So y'all contact these women. You know, Janae already said she taking a step back. So y'all, we need some more of you to step forward. But we, ladies, thank Miss Cherise. Look, Letha, I done got it right again. Look at God. Thank y'all so much for
Yeah,
being
you
on.
got it.
I pray that y'all enjoyed yourself and you got something out of it. It was really a pleasure having you all on tonight, and just being a blessing to the people. You know, as it is Mental Health Awareness Month. You know, one thing I believe here at Love and Faith is we got to have our mind right to serve the kingdom right. And so when your mind messed up, guess what? it snowball effects downhill to a lot of other things that we do. And so we just thank you all for being in partnership and coming on tonight and just giving your voice and your knowledge, because it is needed that people also get to hear a different perspective, because your voice does matter. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Now, is there any last questions before these ladies get off of here? Now, if you got a burning desire or whatever, your time is now, because when they're gone for the night. They may be back. I don't know. But if you got a question, please put it in the chat, or if there's something that you need. And Miss Letha, can you do me a favor? Can you call out, give me your website so I can put that in the chat for the good people?
I don't have a website.
I'm sorry. Mr. Reese, can you give me your
Okay.
website? My apologies.
No worries.
Yes, it's Positive Change Awaits LLC.com.
You said awaits?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I want to make sure we drop you in the comments so people can find you and get everything that they need from you, because we can never expose and promote our people enough. There's not, with how the world is going, mental health is on a superior rise like none other. And so you all are needed. So thank you all for what you do. It is truly a blessing to the community. And thank you all for what you do for your lovely organizations, the lovely ladies of Zeta Phi Beta. And y'all, I can't leave my sister out. She's a strong diva of Delta Sigma Theta, so we ain't gonna leave them. So your professionalism and all that you do and all that you give to the community, it is so much and so needed. So thank you, ladies, for joining us tonight. And we didn't get no questions, so y'all, I'm gonna let the ladies go, and we're gonna finish it. Amen. So where is my lovely sister? She done gone, y'all. Now, how did everybody enjoy tonight? Did everybody enjoy tonight? Did you get, so if you got something, put something in the chat, wave at us, put a heart or something, because guess what? I pray that you got what you needed tonight. One thing I believe, it's about community. It's not just about us here at Love and Faith. It's about everybody. So how do we create that koinonia, that family? How do we get that unit together? Because here it's family. LFRC are the place where love never expires. I'm telling you, it's something great for you here. And so when you understand what it is that God has for you, and what the people, as they talked about tonight, the community, that safe space, we have something that's going to open up maybe at the end of the year, beginning of the year. I don't know, but it's going to be good for y'all women to have a safe space. So it's developing right now. All the little blocks and pieces are getting put together, but I'll tell you, it's called the powder room. And oh my, it's going to bless your life. So when that comes available for the public, y'all, I'm excited for what the women are going to do of Love and Faith. The men, we doing our thing. So, let me say that if you got a brother, a cousin, a son that needs community for the men, tell them to join me in the morning. We have a men's prayer call at 6 a.m. I know it's early, but I promise you, they won't be let down. If you got a brother or my brothers out there, you need a safe space to talk, to vent, to get it off your chest, join us in the morning at 6 a.m. For my men. I promise you, it is a safe space for you to release, let go, and grow. And so I'm just excited about what God is doing here. But before we go, y'all, I can't leave you empty. I got to pray for you, cover you, because God is always doing something. And let me say this. This Thursday, if you want to join us for Bible study, join us at 7:30. Our minister Sierra is ministering. We're in a series called The Cost of Transition. And all of us have been in a series of transitions or are in a form of transition. So I'm excited about how this is going. And so God is just doing some amazing things. But Father, we just thank you for all that you're doing on tonight. God, touch your people. Father, I thank you that they got some tools in their toolbox today. Father, they're leaving refreshed. They're leaving full. God, to those that need to heal, God, they got some extra ways to heal today. Father, I thank you for removing the weight off of their shoulders, the weight off their heart, even unforgiveness. Father, those that came on burden, Father, I thank you that they'll be leaving lighter. So, Father, I just ask that you cover them and keep your angels around them. Father, and do for them what only you can do. And God, we just thank you right now in Jesus Christ's mighty name. Amen. Amen. We love you. We love you. We love you. If you want to sow into Therapy Tuesdays, we have our Cash App, our Givelify, our Tithe, or you can go to LFR Church /give. And there's a form on there for Therapy Tuesdays. We appreciate your giving. Thank you for all you do. We will see you tomorrow morning for my men or Thursday for the family. God bless you. We love you.